Have you ever felt a pull to a place, as if the earth itself whispered your name and told you to come back? That's how I felt the day I drove up the winding mountain road, my old truck groaning as it climbed higher and higher. The air was thinner, colder, but I could almost smell the pine needles and wood smoke of a life I had left behind, 25 years earlier. When I was just a young man full of hope, I had bought a small house tucked deep in the mountains. It was old even then, its roof sagging and windows cracked. But it was mine. It was where I dreamed of building a family, writing a book, and living a life of peace, away from the noise of the world. But dreams don't always come true. My wife got sick. The medical bills piled up. And when she passed away, I couldn't bear to stay there any longer. I left the house locked and abandoned, a grave of memories too heavy to carry. For decades, it stood silent, empty until one day. I couldn't ignore the pull anymore, so here I was, a man in his late 50s, driving up that road again with tools in the back and a heart full of trembling hope. Maybe this time, I whispered to myself, maybe I can make it right. As I turned the final bend, my chest tightened. There it was, my house. Or at least what was left of it. The paint had peeled completely, the porch sagged, and vines wrapped around the chimney like claws. My eyes burned with tears, but I smiled through them. I'm back, I whispered. I stepped out of the truck and walked toward the door, carrying a box of cleaning supplies. The key, old, rusted, but still familiar, slipped into the lock. But before I could turn it, I froze. From inside, I heard footsteps. Slow, heavy, confident. My heart jumped. I rattled the knob harder. Hello? I called out, is someone in there? The door suddenly swung open, and there she was. A woman, maybe in her late 50s like me, stood in the doorway with her arms crossed. Her hair was pinned back tight, her face sharp as stone, and her eyes burned with the kind of authority only someone drunk on control could carry. Yes, she said coldly. What do you think you're doing on my property? I blinked, stunned. Your property? This is my house. I bought it 25 years ago. Who are you? She straightened her back, glaring down at me as though she were a queen, and I was trespassing in her kingdom. I'm Karen, president of the Mountain Ridge. And this house, she sneered, has been abandoned for years. We've taken it into our care. I've been living here to ensure the community standards are met. I couldn't believe my ears. You've been living here? I repeated, my voice trembling with anger. Lady, this is my house. I have the deed, the papers, everything. She smiled, but it wasn't kind. It was the kind of smile that chilled your bones. Well then, she said smoothly, you'll need to take that up with the HOA, but let me be clear, this home, this land, this community, it all falls under my rules now. My fists clenched. I had expected dust and broken windows. I had expected loneliness and silence. I had not expected to find a stranger in HOA Karen, no less standing in my doorway like she owned my life. I tried to keep calm. Listen, I don't want any trouble. I just want to fix up my house and live here quietly. That's all. Her eyes narrowed. Live here? Oh no, sir. That won't do. This community has standards, and frankly, you don't belong. The neighbors voted to let me occupy this property. It's mine now. My heart pounded. I wanted to scream, to push past her, to take back what was mine. But instead, I took a deep breath. Karen, you don't understand. This isn't just a house to me. My wife and I bought this place together. She's gone now. And this is all I have left of her. For the first time, her expression faltered. Just for a moment, but then she hardened again, her voice sharp as a knife. Sentimental stories don't change the rules. If you set one foot inside, I'll have you arrested for trespassing. The door slammed in my face. I stood there on that broken porch, my chest heaving, my hands shaking. The mountains that once comforted me now felt like walls closing in, but deep inside. Beneath the anger, beneath the sorrow, a fire started to burn. This was my house, my memory, my life, and no HOA Karen was going to steal it from me. The next morning, I parked my truck a little down the road, staring at the house that had once been mine. I hadn't slept all night. Karen's words echoed in my head, trespassing. Community rules. You don't belong. Every part of me wanted to storm in, kick her out, and reclaim what was rightfully mine. But instead I pulled out the worn leather folder I'd kept tucked away all these years. Inside were the original deeds, the property tax receipts, even the faded photograph of me and my late wife standing in front of the house. Smiling like the world belonged to us, I whispered to that photo, "Don't worry, Anna, I'll fix this. I won't let her steal our dream," with the papers in hand. I marched back up the porch and knocked firmly. The door cracked open, and Karen's face appeared, her eyes rolling before I even spoke. "You again?" She snapped. "Yes," I said, forcing my voice steady. "Because this is my house. Look." I held up the deed, signed and recorded. I never sold it, never transferred it. "You've been squatting in my home." For a flicker of a second, something uneasy passed over her face, but she quickly masked it with arrogance. "Deeds can be outdated. Communities change. The HOA has authority to reassign abandoned properties." "Reassign?" I barked, disbelief dripping from my voice. "That's not how ownership works. You can't just take what isn't yours." Her lips curled. "Oh, you'll find that I can." And then she did something that sent a chill down my spine. She leaned closer, lowering her voice. "Besides, do you really want to drag this all out? Maybe it's better you walk away before the past swallows you whole." I frowned. "What are you talking about?" But she only smirked, then slammed the door again. My fists trembled. What did she mean, the past? What was she hiding? That afternoon, I walked into the small-town office at the base of the mountain, hoping someone could help. Old Mr. Graham, the county clerk, recognized me the moment I walked in. His eyes softened, and he reached across the counter to shake my hand. "Well, I'll be," he said warmly. "Haven't seen you in years." "Thought you'd left for good." "Almost did," I admitted. "But now I'm back, and there's a problem. Someone's living in my mountain house. Says the HOA gave it to her." His brows furrowed. "That can't be right. Nobody but you's ever paid taxes on that place." "Not once? Then why does she think it's hers?" I asked. He sighed, leaning back. "That woman Karenchi's been trouble for years. Ever since she got herself elected president of that HOA, she's treated the whole ridge like her kingdom. Folks are scared to stand up to her. She pushes, bullies, twists rules that don't even exist. But taking your house? That's bold even for her." I felt anger rising, but also a strange sense of relief. I wasn't crazy. She was lying. Mr. Graham flipped through the county records and handed me a stamped copy, confirming I still owned the property. "Take this," he said firmly. "And if she gives you more trouble, you come see me again. We'll set this straight." As I walked back out into the sunlight, clutching that paper, I felt stronger. But I also felt unsettled, because something about the way Karen had hinted at the past nagged at me. That evening, I returned to the house once more. This time, I didn't knock. I called through the door. "Karen, I have proof. You can't keep me out anymore." The door opened slowly. She stood there with her arms crossed, but her face wasn't as confident now. "Proof or not, you don't understand what you're stepping into." I stepped closer. "Then explain it to me. Why are you really here?" For the first time, her voice trembled. Because this house isn't what you think it is. You're not the only one who lost something here." Her words hit me like a stone to the chest. My anger softened just a little. "What do you mean?" But instead of answering, she shut the door again this time, not with arrogance, but with something else. Something like fear. That night, I sat in my truck watching the porch light flicker through the trees. My mind was a storm. Why would she say that? What did she know about my past, hear about Anna? About the years I tried so hard to bury? And then a thought came that made my skin crawl. What if Karen wasn't just a thief? What if she was tied to my story in ways I didn't yet understand? I tightened my grip on the steering wheel, whispering to myself in the dark, "I'll find out the truth, no matter what it costs me." The next morning, I woke with a knot in my stomach. The copy of the deed and tax receipt sat on the seat beside me like a shield, but they didn't protect me from the questions swirling in my head. This house isn't what you think it is. You're not the only one who lost something here. Karen's words clung to me like shadows. I decided I couldn't tiptoe around her anymore. If she had a secret, I needed to drag it into the light. When I knocked on the door this time, she didn't answer. But I heard movement in side drawers shutting, footsteps rushing. Finally, the door opened just a crack, and Karen's sharp eyes glared at me through the gap. "Why won't you just leave me alone?" She snapped. "Because this is my house," I shot back, my voice trembling with both anger and something deeper desperation. "And because you know something? About this place. About me. You said you lost something here? What did you mean?" Her lips pressed into a thin line, her face pale. "You wouldn't understand. Then make me understand," I pleaded. "Please, I'm not here to fight you. But this house, it's all I have left of my wife, and I can't walk away until I know why you're here." Her eyes flickered, and for the first time, I saw something in her I hadn't before. Not arrogance, not control, but pain. Slowly, she opened the door wider and stepped aside. "Fine," she muttered. "Come in. But don't say I didn't warn you." I stepped into my house for the first time in decades. The air smelled different, not of rot or abandonment, but of wood polish and lavender. She had cleaned. She had lived here. My chest ached at the sight of the furniture rearranged, curtains replaced, photographs of people I didn't know sitting on my mantel. "This," I whispered. "This was supposed to be my home." Karen stood stiffly by the fireplace. "And it became mine," she said, her voice quieter now. "Because years ago, I had nowhere else to go. My husband left me. I was broke, ashamed, and alone. The HOA was the only place I found power to not feel so small. And then I found this house." She hesitated, her hand brushing the mantel. "But that wasn't the only reason." I turned toward her, my heart thundering. "Then why?" Her eyes watered, though she blinked quickly to hide it. "Because my sister died here. On this mountain road. Car accident. 20 years ago. I came up here to grieve, to find something, anything, that felt like a place to hold on to her memory. This house, your house, was the only thing that gave me that." The air left my lungs. For a moment, all my anger, all my righteous fury drained out. I looked at her not as an enemy, but as another soul broken by loss. "I'm sorry," I said quietly. "I didn't know." Tears slipped down her face before she quickly turned away. "I never meant for it to go this far." At first, I told myself I was just watching over the place. But then years passed, and I convinced myself it was mine too. We stood in silence, the house holding both our ghosts. Finally, I broke it. "But Karen, no matter your pain, this house doesn't belong to you. It's still mine. You've been living a lie." Her face hardened again, though her eyes still glistened. "And you think you can just waltz back in and take it away? After everything I've built here? After the years I spent making this place livable?" I swallowed. The fire in her voice was back. "I don't want to erase what you've done," I said carefully. "But you can't keep me out anymore. This was my dream with my wife. I came back to finish it for her and for me." Her jaw tightened. "And if I refuse? If I don't leave?" Anger finally spilled over in me. I slammed the deed on the table. "Then I'll take this to court, Karen. I'll bring the sheriff. I'll do whatever it takes. Because I won't lose this place again. Not to fate and not to you." Her face twisted, a storm of rage and sorrow colliding. She shouted, her voice breaking. "You think you're the only one who's lost? You think pain makes you special? We all have scars, and this house is part of mine too." The room vibrated with the force of her words. And then she broke down, covering her face with her hands. I stood frozen, my heart torn in two directions and God demanding justice. Compassion, begging for understanding. That night, as I sat outside on the porch, I knew one thing for certain. This fight wasn't about walls or deeds anymore. It was about grief. Hers and mine colliding in the same fragile space. But sooner or later, choice would have to be made, because this house wasn't big enough for both our ghosts. The morning sun spilled over the mountain peaks, painting the house in gold. I sat on the porch steps, clutching a cup of coffee that had long gone cold. Inside, I could still hear Karen moving around. Neither of us had slept much after the argument the night before. I kept playing her words. This house is part of my scars too. She wasn't wrong. Pain leaves its fingerprints on places, and maybe this house carried both of our losses. But the question gnawed at me. Could two broken souls share the same fragile dream? The door creaked open, and Karen stepped outside. Her eyes were red, her face drawn. She didn't speak at first, just stood there, arms folded against the morning chill. Finally, she said, "I know you can take me to court, and you'd win. But before you do, I want you to understand. I wasn't trying to steal from you. I was just trying to survive." Her voice cracked, and for the first time, I felt no trace of arrogance in her tone, only raw humanity. I sighed deeply. "Karen, I don't hate you. I don't even want to punish you. But this house, it's my last connection to my wife. I came back here to heal, not to fight." She sat down on the step beside me, silent for a long time. Then she whispered, "Do you know why I clung so hard to this place? Because when my sister died, no one cared. The HOA, the neighbors, they all treated me like a burden. I built power there because it was the only way I knew how to stop feeling invisible. But here, this house made me feel close to her again, like she was still with me." I looked at her, really looked at her, and saw not the tyrant who had slammed doors in my face, but a woman who had lost more than she could carry. "Maybe," I said slowly, "this house isn't just about loss. Maybe it can be about healing too." She turned, confused. "What are you saying?" I drew a long breath. "I want this house back. That's non-negotiable. But maybe you don't have to be shut out completely. I'll rebuild it, fix it up, and if you really need a place to grieve, then you can come. Not as someone stealing it from me. As someone I'm choosing to share a piece of it with. Not forever, just. When the weight is too heavy." Her eyes widened. And for the first time since I'd met her, her expression softened into something almost childlike hope. "You'd do that? After everything I've done to you?" she asked, voice trembling. I nodded. "Because holding on to anger won't bring back my wife, and it won't bring back your sister either. But maybe, just maybe, we can keep their memories alive in the same place without destroying each other." Tears rolled freely down her cheeks now, and she didn't hide them. "I don't deserve that kindness," she whispered. I smiled faintly. "None of us ever really do. But we give it anyway." For a long time we just sat there in silence, listening to the wind through the pines. Two broken hearts on the same porch, learning what it meant to let go. Weeks passed. Slowly, I began repairing the house, replacing the rotted boards, patching the roof, painting the walls a soft cream color my wife had once loved. To my surprise, Karen showed up some days, not to control or command, but to help. She painted trim, swept the floors, even planted flowers along the walkway. We didn't talk much about the past, but in small, unspoken ways, we honored it. Sometimes she would place a candle on the mantel for her sister, and sometimes I would sit beside it and place a picture of my wife. Two lives remembered under the same roof. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't simple. But it was human. One evening, after we finished planting roses near the porch, Karen looked out at the mountains glowing in the sunset. She turned to me, her voice softer than I'd ever heard it. "Thank you," she said, "for not just fighting me, for seeing me." I nodded, my throat thick with emotion. "We all just want to be seen, Karen, even when we forget how to ask for it." The house was no longer abandoned. It wasn't just mine, and it wasn't hers. It was something in between. A place where grief had brought two enemies together, and where compassion had turned strangers into something like friends. As I sat on the porch that night, the stars blazing above, I whispered into the cool mountain air, "Anna, I did it. I came back, and I found more than I expected. And deep down, I felt something I hadn't in years. Peace. This ending is designed to be heart-touching, emotional, and memorable, leaving your viewers with a life lesson about forgiveness, compassion, and healing after loss. It will naturally encourage them to share their own experiences in the comments.